Welcome back to the Girl About the Globe podcast. This is episode 133, and in this episode, I'm joined by Madeleine Karlsson, a Swedish solo traveller who this year in 2025 travelled to every country in the world and most of these alone. If you're looking to explore some of the whole wide world, this podcast episode is for you. Stay tuned. Welcome to Girl About the Globe, a podcast for you, the solo female traveller, empowering women to travel solo with maximum adventure, minimum impact. Hi Maddie, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Thank you for agreeing to do this session. I think it's going to be so inspiring for people who just want to travel to unusual countries and emerging destinations and kind of away from the more mainstream places that solo female travellers go to. But before we dive into you travelling the world solo, what made you want to achieve that goal?
Well, it started off with wanting to visit 50 countries. And then, of course, I hit 50. Then I wanted to do 100 countries. Then I hit 100. And then I thought maybe the best places are the ones I haven't been to. So then I just decided I just need to see it all.
And how long have you actually been travelling? Because you're in your 40s now, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm 46. I will be 47 in November. And I did a few small trips to like Denmark when I was younger. It doesn't really count because Scandinavia is pretty much the same. I did my first trip to Greece when I was in 98. So I was like, I don't know, in my 20s. And then I started traveling a lot in 2004. That was when it really started. So most of the countries I've done has been like the last 20 years, 21 years.
Do you think that travel is getting a lot harder for women?
Not that I have never really found it hard to begin with. I would say it's easier now because everyone is so well connected. Everyone is on the internet. When I started traveling, you had your Lonely Planet guidebook with you, and you had to stick to whatever you found in the guidebook. But these days, it's so much easier when you can search everything online before you go, and you can connect with people in a different way. So I think it's easier these days, actually.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there as well, especially when you get SIM cards in countries, it's so much easier to navigate your way around.
It is.
How do you do the research for your trips? And do you use guides for any of the regions that you've been to?
I Google a lot, of course, before I go, especially if it's destination when no one else is really going. I do get local guides depending on the countries I go to. I like to travel solo, and but some countries, for example, for my last countries, the last couple of years, I've been a lot to Africa, and some of these countries are not really safe. I just came back from Mali. And you're only pretty much allowed to go to the capital because there's still a lot of problems outside the capital. And then I will get a local guide, and I'm on this page on Facebook called Every Passport Stamp, which has been really, really good for connecting with local guides, because then you will also get recommendations from other travelers. So I will then reach out to the guide, and then I will write one or two persons who recommended the guide beforehand, just to make sure they are good for the value of the money, and also like I also went to Central African Republic this year. It's also very uneasy outside the capital. Then you want to make sure that you have a guide that is actually secure for you to come there, because they also need to be read up on the situation in the country and everything. So in countries like that, you want to feel like you will have a nice experience and don't be scared when you're there.
Yeah, exactly. And when you say Central African Republic and Mali, I expect a lot of people think I could probably never travel there because it's just too dangerous. But you've just proved that you can actually do it if you get a local guide that's in the country who knows the locals. And did you feel safe in those two particular countries?
Yeah, 100%. I didn't see any other tourists whatsoever. I think that would also be safe to do a lot of this by yourself. But I mean, it's also easier to have a guide. Both of them are French-speaking countries. I don't speak French, so also it's harder to make yourself understood with the local people. And yeah, also like in Central African Republic, I actually went outside the capital to visit a waterfall and stuff, and you would not do that by yourself. So you feel safer to have a guide with you.
And when you travelled in, was it Somalia? You actually travelled with armed guards, didn't you?
No, I didn't go. I only went to Somaliland. Uh,
Okay.
Go to Mogadishu, you need to have guards. Yes, it's the same if you go to Timbuktu in Mali. You could still go, but you need like a lot of security with heavy arms with you. Otherwise, you can't go.
Yeah, which is completely fair enough.
Yeah, yeah.
What regions have you travelled to solo?
I actually looked it over before the interview, and out of 193 countries, it will be roughly 25 countries I did on group tours. The rest I've been doing solo, so most of the world by myself.
That's amazing because you did West Africa by yourself as well, didn't you? Because I did that on an overland camping tour because I wasn't sure how I could do that region by myself. I was actually a bit nervous, but I know that you've done that solo, haven't you?
I have, yeah. So I did. They don't have a lot of these countries. They don't have buses because the roads are not good enough. You do shared taxis, and that was such a good experience. I did West Africa in three goes, and all by myself and just with local people. And they're just amazing. They take such good care of you. And like I did a long trip between Guinea-Bissau and Guinea, I think it was. It was like 16 hours in the car. I fell asleep, woke up, and people had bought like food and fruit for me because I've been sleeping for an hour, and they take such good care of you.
So I guess a few people would probably be a bit scared about traveling parts of Africa alone, because I know if you've never been to Africa before, you'd probably do the East Coast, wouldn't you? Because that's kind of the party bit and where a lot of the travelers go.
Yeah.
Which country did you feel uncomfortable in? Maybe not unsafe, but did you feel uncomfortable or just you thought, I'm not sure about this place?
The only country I've been to where I didn't feel safe is Venezuela, but I went there in 2005. That was one of the first trip I did by myself, and I traveled around the world for 9 months. I came from the border from Brazil, so I did the land border over. Just the way people looked at you and you felt like everyone wanted to rob you. But I think also it was because I was not that old at the time. I hadn't done that many trips by myself. So I think maybe that's the reason I did feel a bit unsafe there. Don't think I would be having the same experience if I was traveling there today. But at the moment, I felt like this is not a country I'm gonna come back to. But that's it. Otherwise, all countries I've been to, felt completely safe everywhere.
And did you go to El Salvador recently, or was that quite a long time ago? Because it used to be one of the most unsafe countries, but now, obviously, with the president, he's cleaned up the country, and now it's really safe to visit, isn't it? Because that's one of the countries that I actually missed in Central America.
Um,
I was too nervous to go there by myself.
no, I was there in 2008, I think, or something. I was only there for a few days, but the only thing I reacted on was that everyone had guns. So we went in the taxi, and the taxi driver will have like two or three guns in the taxi. But I didn't feel unsafe being there. It was completely fine.
Wow. And then you're just going to be going back to countries that you want to visit then, aren't you?
Yeah, I also want to do all the territories. Like, for example, Aruba belongs to Holland and Svalbard to Norway and so on. So I also, like, in the end, want to do all the territories, but I'm not going to stress with that because, as you said, I want to go back to favorite countries. Also, next year, I'm going to do the Nomad Games in Kyrgyzstan because there was no games going on when I went there, and I really want to do that. And yeah, revisiting favorite places. Also, maybe spend money on something else besides traveling because it also costs a
And you
lot.
can find out more
So
about
yeah,
Maddie at Travel
yeah,
Maddie
I'm
on finding that the
finding
airfare
that
is actually a
plus,
lot
if you're
more
looking for some
expensive at the
inspiration for your
moment to
next
go to
solo
different
trip,
places. And
don't forget to check
I
out the
haven't done
solo
as many as
destination
you, and
guides
that's why I just
on the
find you
Girl
so
About the Globe blog.
inspiring. But the
And I will
places
be
that I
back
have
next
left
week
are
with
really
another
expensive to
episode.
travel to, and they're like random countries, and you can't cross some of the borders, and it makes it a little bit more expensive, doesn't it?
It is, yeah. And especially as you said, with the airfares, everything is so much more expensive these days. And also, like, I live in Norway, and the Norwegian crown is not really good at the moment. So everything gets more expensive because, yeah, it's the currency is just not strong enough for us at the moment.
That's really amazing, though, that you have a full-time job and then you've managed to do all of this travel outside of your full-time job.
Yeah. I've been lucky also. I had good bosses going back in time because I don't want kids. I will never be home with kids. I will never be pregnant. And some of my bosses has been like, well, you're not gonna be home with sick kids or whatever. So if you want some extra time off, you can have it. And also before I used to work as a chef, so I worked a lot during the summer, and then I took 2, 3 months off in winter time when it was slower. And yeah, so I've been lucky, and also like we got 5 weeks off, and if you combine that with other type of holidays like Christmas, Easter, whatever, you will get some more travel days out of that also.
So which region did you start off with? I guess you started off traveling in Europe, did you? Because it's closer to you, or
Not in Southeast Asia actually.
okay.
So my first trip I did by myself were to Bali in Indonesia, Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand. And then I got completely hooked. So I went home and quit my job and sold everything and went on a
Wow.
trip around the world for 9 months. So yeah.
I saw your interview on Nomad Mania because they said that you left your job and sold everything and just went traveling. So you just got the bug when you did
Yeah,
that.
yeah, it completely did. Yeah.
What do you love about solo travel then? What gives you that bug?
I think like it's easier to do it by yourself because you find a place you love it, you want to stay longer. You find a place you don't like it, you want to leave sooner. You're more free to do what you want. And also for me, it's easier to connect with the local people because for me, traveling, it's all about the people. If you come to a country and you feel like you're not welcome, you're not going to like it.
Mm.
I want to connect as much as possible with the local people. But when you travel with other people, you're always gonna speak more amongst yourself and not really connect in the same way.
Yeah.
So I prefer to travel solo because it gives me more of the country I go to, I think.
What countries have surprised you the most?
I would say Comoros, which is a small country just above Madagascar.
Okay.
It's a country that no one really heard of, I think.
Yeah, I haven't been there.
Yeah, also me, when I was like, I think I've been to most African countries, and then I started to read up. It's like, no, I'm still missing Comoros. So I went there like 2 years ago, and I absolutely loved it. I think that's going to be a major holiday destination in the future because they got nice, perfect beaches, completely untouched, and amazing people. And yeah, I think that's going to be a big destination in the future.
That's
I
really
would
interesting.
invest by that there.
That's really interesting. And I love what you said about the fact that you can connect with the locals when you're solo. And yeah, I that happens to me as well. And I think it really kind of puts my faith back in humanity when I'm traveling solo because you meet some wonderful, kind-hearted people who are so intrigued that you've traveled to their country alone. And some people are so proud that you've been to their country, especially countries where you don't really see a lot of tourists. So I think that's great that what you just said.
Yeah, and also like when I went to West Africa when I did the shared taxis, of course people know that I have enough money to pay for the whole car because it's not really that expensive. And I mean, I could buy the whole car, but that's not really the experience. And they squeeze you in the back seat with four other people for a seat which is designed for three people. They know I could pay for the whole seat, but I want to be squeezed in with them and do the experience. And I also feel like the feedback from that is that people get really pleased that I'm decided to come to their country and travel with them in the way they travel. And yeah, it's just an amazing way to connect with the local people.
Definitely. So what countries would you actually recommend for women traveling alone?
I think if you start out with your first trip, Southeast Asia is a good place to go because there's so many tourists. They're so used to people traveling around there. It's easy to connect with other people. But I will also say all countries because if you're just brave enough, you can go anywhere.
Yeah.
Also, like Middle East, I would say like Muslim countries because they take really good care of you, both the men and the women. If you travel on local buses, I feel like I've been adopted by local women because they take such good care of you. And yeah, but also Africa because I find Africa is my favorite continent. So, and I had so much good times there, and I feel like people take really good care of you. Yes, pretty much anywhere, but maybe like on the first trip, if you want to try out, if you really want to travel by yourself, I would do Southeast Asia.
What is your favourite region of the world?
Well, it is Africa by far. Anything
Which,
else is not close.
which region
And
would you say?
I would say like from I don't know West Africa on and down. I'm also a big fan of safaris. I love to go on safaris. So all the countries with wildlife, of course. Um, but yeah, pretty much any country there, I had such a good experience, and I will definitely come back to a lot of these countries in the future because there's so much more to see and do there. And even though if you read, people are afraid to go to Africa because they find a lot of countries that are unstable. That kind of triggers me though when someone tells me you can't go there. Then I want to go and find out by myself, and I never had any problems anywhere in the world. Yeah, so
That's really, really reassuring to know that you've never had any problems when you've been traveling, and you've been to 192 countries out of 193, and you've
yeah,
been to some interesting, dodgy places. Why do you think that you haven't had any trouble? Do you think it's because when you travel, you're quite confident, and because you make friends with the locals, and people don't see you as a threat, and you're quite vigilant, you don't take any risks that you know that people warn you about, or why do you think that is?
I think it's a mix probably for all the things you said, but also like, and not everyone can see now, but I'm fully tattooed, and tattoos also come with respect, especially like in South Central America. Most people with a lot of tattoos has been to prison. I have not, just to be said. But also it makes people very curious. It's also a good way for me to connect with the local people because they get very curious about my tattoos, and all of them are from traveling, and so they also recognize things in my tattoos, and yeah, and come up and have questions about it. But also I try to look, I read up before I go to places. I download Google Maps offline if I don't have Wi-Fi or a SIM card, just to make sure that I actually, it looks like I know where I'm going. Because
Mm,
if you're sudden and people find out, you will also maybe have more people approaching you that are not really good for you. But also like if you look confident and you look like you're there to enjoy yourself, they're not gonna give you any problems. Also, don't wear a lot of jewelry and expensive things because it also just trigger. I understand that poor people will be triggered by this because if you wear
yeah,
expensive jewelry and stuff, it'll be a year's salary for them. So there's no really need to bring expensive stuff on trips.
no, really, really good tips. And do you have any other tips for women who want to travel solo but they are afraid to do it alone?
I would get a SIM card, of course, every place I go. And these days, it's so easy to just get an eSIM, so you can have that downloaded on your phone before you come to your destination. You could also reach out to the hotel or hostel, whatever you're staying, and maybe have them pick you up at the airport. Then you don't have to go through the hustle of being tricked into paying too much for a taxi from the airport, unless you take the bus or something. And if you want a local guide, I think you do a bit of research before you go, or ask the hotel and hostel because most of the time they will hook you up with someone serious. Also, stay in hostels. Hostel is a good way to meet other travelers. If you don't comfortable enough to sleep in a room with different people, most of the hostel have single rooms. Also, it's a bit more expensive, but it's good value to stay in hostels. They also most of the time they day trips and stuff when you can connect with people on day trips and find a better deal to do stuff that would be a bit more expensive to do by yourself. Yeah, I think that's it.
Great tips. And are there any countries that you would suggest women avoid at the moment?
I don't think so. I think as long as you read up before you go and you take advice that you find, maybe I would not go like Lebanon, Israel, Iran at the moment because everything what's going on there and you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But also like tourists, it's not a target. So if something happens, you're just going to be unlucky to be on the wrong place at the wrong time. So yeah, otherwise I think if you are unlucky, something could happen to you at home. So it doesn't really matter where you are.
Yeah. Yeah. And I remember when I went to Syria, and if you look on the UK Foreign Office website, the whole country is red. It's
Yeah,
red zone, so they tell you not to go there at all. But in actual fact, it's just pockets of the country that you shouldn't really go to. And that I find that if you're checking your Foreign Office website, they are a lot more cautious and they will put the whole country as don't travel to it, when in fact that isn't the reality on the ground.
Yeah.
Which is why getting a local guide is good, because they know, don't they?
Yeah, they do. But also, like as you said, both Sweden. I'm half Norwegian, half Swedish, because I live in Norway these days. So I also have a Norwegian passport. So my travel insurance, of course, is Norwegian. And when the government tell you not to go to places, the insurance would not work. So what I do is I always keep, if I go to a country when the government tells me you can't go here, I will always bring a lot of US dollars in case something happens. You will have enough money to get out of any situation, go to the closest country to get healthcare or whatever if something happens. But that's also because I like to travel in every country, and you need to be prepared because things can happen. As I said, I never had any problems anywhere. I never ever used my travel insurance because I just didn't have to.
That's amazing, honestly.
Yeah.
And your travel style is generally on a budget. You like wildlife, you like the ocean, like cultural travel.
Yeah, I like a great mix of everything. And yeah, so a perfect trip would be like wildlife, a few days on the beach, cultural things, mixed with cities and yeah, open landscape or whatever. A great mix of everything.
That's why you love Africa so much.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Just do it. Be brave enough and do it, because most people think they can't travel by themselves, and they try it, and most people love it. Don't be bothered by being by yourself for a couple of days. You are actually grown as a person to do stuff by yourself. I'm also a warehouse manager these days, and when I employ people, if they have been solo traveling, I find that very positive because I know that they will be strong enough to sort out different situations. And yeah, I think it looks good on your CV also to be traveling solo.
That's great advice. Yeah, and I hadn't thought about that before, but I think the skills that you learn when you're solo traveling, which is the problem solving and thinking quickly on the spot by yourself and being able to handle yourself in any situation that traveling throws at you, really does give you an amazing life skill, doesn't it? So that's really interesting to know that that can actually help with your job prospects as well.
Yeah, no, I will definitely see that as something positive.
Thank you so much, Maddie. I wish you all the success with your future travels. And if people actually want to follow your travels, or they want to have a look at any previous travels that you've done, where can they go and find you?
I'm on Instagram. It's Travel Maddie.
Your Instagram's brilliant, and it's great because you show yourself interacting with the local people and yeah, all of your travels. So thank you so much for inspiring us today, Maddie, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
And you can find out more about Maddie at Travel Maddie on Instagram. Plus, if you're looking for some inspiration for your next solo trip, don't forget to check out the solo destination guides on the Girl About the Globe blog. And I will be back next week with another episode.
Thanks for listening to our Girl About the Globe podcast, making solo travel easier for you. Find everything that you need for your solo travels at girlabouttheglobe.com, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss an episode.